Red Rising, a book I heard a lot about years ago, but I kind of put it way in the back of my mind because I heard it was YA. And at the time, I really wasn't interested in that. So I was just like, oh, I'll just keep it back there. Maybe I'll do it someday if I don't have anything to read. But recently, I was watching a video by someone and they said it's only labeled that because it's really about teenagers. And I thought, oh, if that's the only reason, okay, let me give it a try. So I gave it a try and I liked it. It was pretty good. It's very fast paced. There's a lot of action, good characters. So yeah, overall it was pretty enjoyable. What's it about? We have people who are now living on Mars. They've separated themselves from Earth, and the leaders on Mars, they talk about all that democracy stuff, all this everyone is created equal. That's a bunch of baloney. We want to go back to the time of the gods. People are born differently. There are classes of people. Some people are just born better than others. And so they separated themselves by colors. There's golds, reds, pinks, yellows, blues. And our main character, he's a red. He's way, way down. He actually is a miner. They call him hell divers. And he lives down below the surface of Mars, just mining away, a gritty, a unpleasant life. But hey, that's his life. That's what he was born into. Well, something unfortunate happens in his little world down there. Something executed by one of the golds, one of the high up golds. And yeah, someone he loves gets in trouble, and then he himself gets himself into trouble. Now, this puts him on a path to joining a resistance, people who want to infiltrate the golds and rise up to become something where they can control how things operate and eventually take them down from the inside. So, to do this, he has to completely change himself, leave his family behind, change his appearance. It's not a matter of just, changing your appearance a little. They have to really go nuts. Skin grafts, changing his eyeballs, doing stuff to his brain. It's crazy what he has to do, but it's what he has to do. And so it's quite the undertaking. And so this first book is really about his first couple of tests to, not only get into like the institute, they call it, to have him start rising up through the ranks, getting noticed by the higher ups. And then the real bulk of this, even though it's very science fictiony, the bulk of this is about one of their tests that's totally like medieval fantasy. It's people with basic weapons and armor attacking clans and attacking forts, and you're just like, oh man, this feels like a normal fantasy stuff. So I thought it was very enjoyable. It is very fast paced. There are sections, in fact, that I wish kind of got drawn out a little more, but the book just goes and goes and goes. It doesn't dwell on anything too much. It just gives you the information, lets some emotional moments sit here and there, but other times it just rolls right along. So I think if you're a fantasy fan, you're gonna like this. I'm a fantasy fan, and I really enjoyed it. It does have a bit of like a dungeon crawler Carl feel, because during the test there are the proctors who are watching all these different clans go after each other, and they can kind of sneak in and help each other out. So that was pretty interesting, and it makes for some interesting twists and turns in the book. But overall, it was fun. Is it the greatest thing I've ever read? No. Does the ending make me want to continue on? I think the next one is called Golden Sun. Yeah, yeah. I think there's enough there to make me say, okay, I want to know what happens to Darrow after all the events of this first book. Let's see what happens next. So that's going to be all for no spoilers. I am going to do spoilers next. So please like and subscribe to the channel if you've not done so already. We're going to do spoilers. So go read the book and come back for that. You ready? Spoiler time. All right, spoilers. Let me grab my phone because I'm not going to dwell too much on all of this, but let me see where I want to start here. We've got the main issue kind of holding him for a while, is that he kills Julian, right? Cassius, his brother. And you kept wondering, how is he going to find out? And you didn't know if Cassius would find out on his own, like get suspicious on his own, because anytime they bring it up, he gets quiet or he changes the subject, doesn't want to talk about it, which would be suspicious. But then Cassius gets it in his mind that, who is it? Titus is the one who killed him. And then he feels, he got his vengeance for his brother, but you're still wondering, oh, how's this going to end up? How's this going to end up? And it was interesting how that turned out with the jackal. And again, like I said, how it feels like Dungeon Crawler Carl, where people are just like popping stuff in. He's like, oh, by the way, here's this. And did you know this? And they give him that hollow cube, and it's like, ooh, here we go. But before, that's way the later part. When I talked about things going too fast, Titus. We had Titus, who was the secret red, and Cassius thinks he's the one who killed his brother. So they're going to have that duel. And I'm like, okay, this should be pretty good. And then the whole duel lasts like 10 lines. And it's pretty much over in like 5 or 6 lines. It's something like Cassius did not wait, or Cassius made sure it went quickly. And it was just like, dun, 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 dun. Titus kind of gives a weird smile, and then ba-doom. And you're like, oh, that's it? Oh, that could have been so awesome. But maybe because Darrow already knew he was a red, maybe they didn't just want to drag that out and make him dwell on it. Because you think if he would have fought and fought and fought, and it was a slow burn that Titus was going to lose, you would have felt like the emotion would have like built up in him, and maybe Darrow would be like, all right, that's enough, that's enough. He wouldn't have been able to help himself to stop the battle and save his fellow red. But maybe that's why it went by so quick. It does make me wonder, well, like he said, Titus is a red. Who else around here could be a red? I don't think they ever went back to that, but it makes me wonder for the future books, who else in this whole this gold hierarchy could be a red? Could it be someone who's actually super, super high up already? And then it also makes you wonder, do they have reds who have infiltrated like the yellows or the greens? So when they rise up and finally, enact their plan, that they'll have people on every single level. Not just the golds who control the fleets and stuff, but then people down on the medical side or the pleasure side, the security side, can all kind of just activate together, like Order 66 or something. It's like, all right, here we go. Everybody everywhere, go. I don't know. We'll see. So let's see here. Then things, like I said, move around pretty quick, which I was happy for the most part. We get the battle with the Minervans, and then the comical timing of the 2 traps that he falls into. He gets led out there into the woods where they killed, what's her name, Leia. He gets tricked into that. He wanders out, he finds Cassius, goes back to the fort, and then what is it, like the next chapter where Cassius bursts in and he's like, hey, quick, you gotta come, and you're immediately, it's like, deja vu, don't go. And he's like, oh, okay. Oh, it's another trap. It's like, come on, man. You just had this happen. Ask somebody to come with you. Even if he would have asked, he's like, hey, can we grab this? He's like, no, there's no time. Okay, at least he tried, because he thought, it was another trap. But, oh my goodness. All right. Time goes on. We get the interesting thing where he finally realizes first, like, okay, people need to be fighting for something, feel like they have a choice in what they're doing. And so he decides, all right, we're not enslaving people anymore. Or if we do, we give them a way out. And so he starts deciding, it's your choice to follow me, your choice to fight with me. So he starts bringing people to him, not by force, but by influence, and making them feel like, okay, it's my choice, I'm free, I'm choosing to do this, I just don't have to do it because I'm a slave and have this resentment in my head all the time. So that was very interesting. And then we get them, they take Apollo's house, and then we get that interference with Apollo and the bear, and sneaky little Servo out there with his traps. And then later, we get a few talks with Fitchner, one out in the woods, and then he comes up into the keep. And what was it? He like shakes his hand or something, and then just like slams his head down into the table. And I'm like, oh my, is he going to kill him? He's going to kill him right here. But oh no, just beat him up, threw him into the dungeon. Learn he's Servo's father. Interesting stuff. We get where he finally meets up with the jackal, pretending to be, what is it, like a Lucius or something like that. That's when we get that pretty cool, almost like a creepy scene where he just cuts off his own hand, doesn't care, right? He gets him on the table, knife through the hand. He's like, here you go, cut it off and I'll let you go. And he just kind of stares at him, no pain, and just And you're just like, oh, that is badass. That is badass stuff. Of course, then it ends up with our Pax, our beloved Pax, getting killed and just stabbed and stabbed and stabbed in the back. Ugh, nasty stuff. This book, what did you think about the gore in this book? Like sometimes it was pretty nasty stuff, but yeah, the visions some of those fight scenes gave me were woof. And then we get where they go up to Olympus and they confront some of those gods who are just laying around not expecting it. But then the fight with Jupiter. Oh, I guess before that we got Apollo, where he tricks him into holding his hand, and he knows that his face is free, and jabbing him in the face. That was really good stuff. Where are we going now? The Jupiter battle. Jupiter battle wins with help with Servo, and then I felt like the ending was just kind of like, all right, there's going to be this build up, and I realized pages were running out. I'm like, is it just going to be a cliffhanger in the battle? Like, oh no, Mustang took care of it, and you're like, oh, okay. That's another point where it's like, I was kind of interested in what that battle would be like or what would happen. It's just like, oh no, just ride out and yeah, it's all done. Don't worry, finished. And you're like, oh, okay then. So that was a little anticlimactic. I guess the climax was with the gods on Olympus, but not with the jackal. So, was it a big revelation that she was his twin sister? Yeah, for me, I was pretty shocked. We knew they probably knew each other somehow, but the twin sister, I wasn't expecting that. Then, tell me what you thought about the end. Did you think he was going to choose to go with the jackal's father? Because this whole time, he's pretty much been doing everything in his own way, kind of selfishly, instead of thinking of the big picture, his mission as a Red. And I thought, why not? He's going to continue to do the same thing. He's going to refuse this offer. And he mentioned some other guy who he thought was more honorable and going to go with them. Like, surely he's going to do that. He's going to do that. And then, but, nope. Okay, this little game is over. All those that side mission is done. We're back to the main mission. And what I've got to do is what's best for my people. So, rise, son. Yeah, so that was good. And I think that ending, again, it did make me want to keep on reading. I'm like, oh, okay, I want to see how this continues on. But what did you think of Darrow as a character overall? It did seem like he was a little invincible. I know he got stabbed and had a hard time with things, which I don't know how he recovered from that. It's kind of like the recent Star Wars thing where you just get a lightsaber to the gut, but you'll be fine. That's what I envisioned when that ion spear or sword, whatever it was. I'm like, how's he going to survive that? But it did seem like he could do no wrong, even though he made some poor choices, but he could pretty much do whatever he wanted and things were going to go his way. So as a character, he seemed almost a little invincible, and you're just like, okay. Maybe in the future books, it does a little better job with making him feel more vulnerable. But overall, I'm glad I read it. Enjoyed the quick read. Definitely someday we'll be checking out the other books in the series. Next up, I've got an itch for Dungeon Crawler Carl. What have I got back there? The Butcher's Masquerade. So, do I do that one, or do I find another short little thing to enjoy first? I have to decide. But for now, please do comment down below. Let me know what you thought about this book. Let me know if you've read the series, about the series as a whole. How does it go? Is this a weaker book in the series, or is this one of the better ones and it's kind of later? Let me know down below. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you've not done so already, and I will see you next time.